We're going to talk about Ian Danskin today. And before we get going with anything like that, I want to kind of clear some stuff. I've got a 10 teal super chat goal, which is 10 $5 super chats. I have it for the next hour and a half. And if we get to that, I will stream twice next week. That Darn Racket is my band. This was a totally unnecessary thing for me to do, to throw this logo up here. You can go to thatdarnracket.com/positive, and that will give you links to the video, the song on all of your favorite services. Spotify, Apple Music, adding Overwhelmingly Positive, the Fuck Jams playlist. Put Pony on there, man. Pony is a Fuck Jam song, if I ever heard one. Although I don't know if my voice is really good to fuck to, unless you're fucking me. So, if you know me, you know that way back in the day, I had a fairly long association with Anti-Gamergate / BreadTube. Gaminggate required explanation. And the people fighting Gaminggate wanted it explained in a certain way. Now, what you might ask is an accepted way to explain things. The thing that academics typically turn to, the slideshow, my friends.
My high school was at the top of a big fuck-off hill, and many of us who didn't live on any of the school's bus lines got to walk down that hill every afternoon to catch the Samtrans. Next to us as we walked, a procession of students who owned cars would form, inching its way downstream to get backed up at the intersection below. One student in the procession stood out to us. We later learned when one of us met him at a party that his name was Jack. Jack was notable for 3 reasons. First, though he looked just like himself from head on, sitting in profile in his car, he looked exactly like our friend Colin. Second, his car was a blue 1960s Volkswagen Beetle, but with a glass pack installed to amplify the noise from the tailpipe. So when you turned your head expecting a Hell's Angel to come up behind you, it was just Jack in his baby blue love bug. And third, because he glared at us. Jack was the angriest stranger I had ever seen. Once again, out of his car and at a party, he was apparently a pretty nice guy, but at 2:45 in the afternoon, stuck in traffic in what was clearly his mom's old hippie car, he would look out his window and sneer at us, eyebrows knitted and furiously blasting his Bengal tiger of an engine at anyone who made eye contact. And as he pulled ahead, making his way down the hill towards the stoplight, we would call after him, "Why are you so angry?" When I spend too much time on the internet and see people, mostly young men, spewing and weirdly directing an incomprehensible anger, I remember Angry Jack.
And so he uses Angry Jack to explain Gamergate. Yeah, critical support for Angry Jack. He knew. That Angry Jack, he understood. He knew before any of us knew. He knew that Ian Danskin, he was a drain on society. Angry Jack knew before all of us. We should have listened to Angry Jack. Anyway, so he got popular explaining Gamergate. Blah, blah, blah. Look at all this. This is why Gamergate happened, I guess. That Anita Sarkeesian, they called her the Hitler of gaming. In all seriousness, Anita Sarkeesian, out of all of the people who are big in Gamergate on either side, the Hitler of gaming was probably one of the lesser of the problems. I mean, I don't like Anita Sarkeesian. I think her analysis is really, really shallow, but I don't think she's a bad person. I think basically everyone else who got real popular off of criticizing Gamergate kind of sucks. Anita doesn't really suck. I don't agree with her. Yes, Anita Sarkeesian's feminist videos were kind of annoying. They were a little entry level. They were a little wrong in that they were real idealist and based in moralism and stuff like that. That's irritating and stuff, but more or less, she's basically a normal person. Her agenda was to say the things that she thought, which is fine. She could get argumentative, I'm not going to lie, but everybody does, and everybody can. This was ultimately just a big, stupid fucking fandom war. It shouldn't have been a big fucking fandom war. It should have been a bunch of gamers realizing that big companies don't have their interests at heart and started to collaborate and corroborate on that, but instead of, attacking Kotaku and primarily focusing on them as an institution and adjacent institutions for essentially doing hobbyist reporting and also kind of corrupt shit in terms of what they cover, who they cover, etc. Instead of that, they got really focused on Anita Sarkeesian and Zoe Quinn, and then later Brianna Wu, because she injected herself and did everything possible to make herself a target of attention, which is what she does. That's not what I'm here to talk about today.
Colin Beavan is an environmentalist and the subject of the 2009 documentary No Impact Man. The doc and Beavan's book of the same name are about
This is a 7-minute video, and like 3 seconds in, I feel like it's too long. I think he describes the J.K. Rowling effect here.
So they can throw it in the compost? Maybe for a few minutes this has been you. Or maybe it's been you when someone declines a bite of your sandwich like this. Or declines an invite to your Christmas party like this. Or when you offer someone a beer at a party after having maybe a couple of your own and they decline like this. And you get kind of cold and quiet and your eyes narrow and you wonder, are they judging me? Why do these statements piss so many people off? Why do they read like judgments? Because they're not necessarily.
No, that's the problem. They are. They 100% are. No, thank you. That's not my thing. I'm a vegan. Versus, I'm a vegan. There's a big difference. And he doesn't seem to understand that he portrayed the judgy one. And he's like, no, that's not judgy. So I think that if you say no, thank you first, or you say something polite before you say I'm a vegan, it's fine to say that you're a vegan. If you're just like, I'm a vegan, or no, I'm a vegan. It's such a small difference, but it's such a huge difference. You know what I mean? I don't have a problem with fucking vegans. Like, I think that it's ineffective and it's not doing what most of them think it's doing. Like, you don't just change the world with consumer demand. You can't. It's not possible. But a lot of people are vegan also just because, like, that's what makes them feel good, and that's fine. It's a bunch of this kind of shit. And for a while, he had something to mine content from, which was Gamergate, to explain and tell us all what we're supposed to think about it. And then he ran out of Gamergate because Gamergate stopped. So he kept trying to do things for a while. Different things here, video game things, crowdfunded, blah, blah, blah. He had a very short-lived series called Story Beats, appears to have 4 episodes. And then he realized that explaining right-wing culture movements was far more lucrative. And he shifted to the sequel of Why Are You So Angry? The Alt-Right Playbook. And that was relevant for what I think is about a year. I think the alt-right was probably nearing its expiration date in 2017. But, he's been making those for years. Like, there are a number of them from the last 2 years even. And then he did this COVID thing. He did COVID explainers and then ran out of COVID. So he went back to the alt-right because Trump ran again. But, like, the alt-right didn't exist second time around. Trump ran entirely on, like, normie shit. That's why he won. Obviously, he didn't deliver on that, but, like, no president is gonna. Anyway, so between 3 years ago and now, he did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 alt-right playbook episodes. They vary in length between 3 minutes. The longest is 35 minutes long. Most of them are less than 6 minutes long. All of these are just about something that he zoomed in on from, like, a decade ago. The reverse Gish Gallop. Oh, the Gish Gallop. Wow. That's something. Negging and love bombing. Why are you talking about that 1 year ago? Why is that something you're explaining 1 year ago? Those are not relevant. Half of his videos is him just making shit up. What the fuck is Did doing?
Say for the sake of argument, you and some other folks have gotten embroiled in a debate about the use of content warnings. One side has put forth the usual case. Some people have trauma or anxiety disorders, and giving them a heads up about common triggers lets them make informed decisions about how to engage with a piece of media. They aren't always looking to walk out even, just avoid a panic attack by having a few moments to prepare themselves. And this is often better for everyone, as more people can appreciate the work itself, and the discourse doesn't derail into another discussion. And then someone from the other side of the debate says, in all seriousness, and I remind you, this is about whether or not people should put a single sentence at the beginning of a video, the start of a game, outside the door of a theater. Can't you just, like, have your panic attack?
How is that the argument against a content warning? This is a totally insane response to talking about content warnings, and no one would say that. No one responds to it by saying, can't you just have your panic attack? No, if you have a point to make about, let's say, sexual assault, for instance, most likely, if you're within like 99.9% of the population, it lies upon the side that sexual assault is a bad thing. If you're making that point genuinely, you're pursuing it, you really can't think about if it's going to cause panic attacks, because here's the thing, it is. Somebody out there is going to have a panic attack if you're talking about a sensitive subject. Content warning, blah, blah, at the beginning. Fine. I'm okay with that. And I'm not even making an argument against that. I don't really think it's that big of a deal. I think that is a stop on a path to oversensitivity. A lot of the time, content warnings are screeching the content to a halt to tell people that the next thing they're going to say is about sexual assault, which is, I would argue, itself a surprise sexual assault statement. I don't think that it's actually a problem to, at the beginning of a video, say, like, there's sensitive things. And like, there's a reason why Jackass has a warning at the start. There is an argument that you should say something before certain types of content that says something. The argument against that is not, can't you just have your panic attack? Yes, there's a backlash against content warnings because the amount of content warnings got insane and the demands from the left on content warnings got insane. Of course there's a fucking backlash about it. The backlash was because it got nuts. That doesn't mean this is useful content. It's not. Hold on. Look at this. A thing a real adult human said to me at mass art. Yeah, and I don't believe that an actual human said this to him. I don't. I'm sorry, I don't.
Discussion quickly and predictably devolves from there into people who have panic attacks trying to explain how miserable they are and how comparatively simple putting up a content warning is, and you realize far too late that this whole conversation is missing the point.
Correct, you're missing the point. He's missing the point because the argument about content warnings was not simply having a thing before the thing that says this is sensitive content. The problem with it was that it was completely nuts that anytime anything was mentioned, people would get angry if it didn't have a content warning that preceded it by like 5 seconds. Warn me if you're going to do this.
Because the it's not life and death crowd, they never claimed that they are more inconvenienced than the person having a panic attack. I mean, content warnings ain't life and death either. They made no attempt to frame this trade-off as fair or justified, only that in the grand scheme of things, it's not so bad. I call this didoing. It's not so bad.
Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Oh my fucking God. Didoing. No. Okay, so to be in society with other people, you are required as part of a community, as part of a society, to understand that some things that bother you are not life or death and you're not going to solve them. And while I would argue that he's not talking about that, he is making a thought-terminating cliche that makes it so that whenever anybody does talk about something like that, the response can default to didoing. If you create a means to argue against the fact that that has to be, people on your side are going to argue against it.
Relationship discourse would call it the tolerable level of permanent unhappiness, which is a really powerful phrase. But I came up with didoing, and I'm keeping it. You see didoing everywhere. Be as gay as you want, just don't tell your commanding officer.
This came out December 6th, 2023.
Drag is whatever, just not in front of children. Being a woman on the internet isn't hard if you're willing to block 70.
I would say that there's a large amount of drag that children shouldn't be around. It's not all drag. I wouldn't say that it's every bit of drag that exists, but like a lot of drag is very sexual, and a lot of children should not be exposed to sexuality. In fact, all of them.
Being a woman on the internet isn't hard if you're willing to block 70,000 people and just use this service to scrub all your private information from the internet so men have a harder time finding your home address. It's $11 a month. What, you can't afford $11 a month? And yes, these are all minimizations. And
that was a sponsored placement. I'm sorry, nobody screenshots delete me and tells you the pricing scheme for it and what it does just because. That was an ad read. I'm sorry, that was an ad read. That came off to me like an undisclosed sponsorship.
You can tell them what it's like to get a Twitter DM threatening to murder your entire family using a quote.
Okay, I got that shit all the time from you fucking assholes. From 2017 to, I'm going to say, a little ways into 2024, you people, leftists, people who were allegedly on my side, who allegedly agree with the things I have to say, you people have threatened my life many times. And I don't spend all my fucking time complaining about it because most of you people don't actually intend to do anything at all regarding anything. None of you do anything. In fact, that's what this guy just got $155,000 to do. Nothing! I don't want to finish this because I'm now irritated by it. Ian Danskin is an American YouTuber whose channel Innuendo Studios discusses politics from a left-wing perspective. He's primarily known for the alt-right playbook series of videos. His channel has been described as part of BreadTube, an informal group of left-wing YouTube channels, which, by the way, if you ask anybody from BreadTube, it's not really a thing. I mean, it's just like, we're not really a thing. We're just some people, you know? That's not a thing that we came up with. That's not us. Like, just because we're a thing that they're describing doesn't mean we're a thing. So anyway, you make like one video every couple of months and it's like 6 minutes long and eventually you don't have any money anymore. Obligatory breath.
Hey everyone. Ian from Innuendo Studios here. Here to let you know that for the time being, Innuendo Studios is taking a break. I'm not sure for how long, and there's a chance it might be permanent.
He knows what he's doing. He didn't start this video without the intention to raise a shitload of money. From this 30 seconds of the video, he's creating the emotional debt that the audience has to feel so that they have to do something to relieve that. He's creating a situation in which giving him money is consuming the experience of doing the right thing. That's what this is.
Bankruptcy is only one of several options right now, but it is a very real...
So bankruptcy is a legal thing. It's something you get a lawyer, you file, and it's serious. I want you to keep in mind how serious it is to actually file for bankruptcy. It is a life-disrupting thing that takes months, sometimes years. He's mentioning that, but he doesn't do that, and he's not going to do that, just to be clear. It wasn't in the plan. The plan here is to raise the money. It's a situation that is very, very serious that I wouldn't wish on people. And honestly, I wouldn't even wish it on Ian here. I would not wish bankruptcy on him. I want that to be clear. I'm not somebody who's like, you should just take the L. That's not where I'm coming from. I don't like Ian. I don't like his content. I think it's utterly useless, outdated trash. But that doesn't mean I want him to be living in the gutter. That's not something that... Absolutely not. However, I don't think that was something he was in danger of here. I don't think he was in danger of it because he could make, I don't know, maybe like a 6-minute video a week. And that would be a massive uptick that'd be like 4 times as much content. And in theory, 4 times as much money.
Taking a full account, I have been running this channel at a loss for 7 years. And between back taxes I owe the government, a maxed out credit card that is in collections, and money I owe to a few people who've bailed me out, I have a total accumulated debt that is pushing $100,000.
All right. So make more than 1 video a month. Also, this is a good point that Just Some Beach is making. If the animation takes too long, stop doing it. Change up the format. There's so many ways to be a YouTuber, and being a YouTuber requires adapting. 100%. Also, the animation for this guy's videos do not take too long. Period. You saw the videos at the beginning, the why are you so angry? If they were still on that level, sure. Those were pretty intense drawings. There were a lot of them. Now they're stick figures that stay on screen for at least 30 seconds apiece. And these videos are 6 minutes long. And the point Quendergear is getting at, so he tried to pivot to gaming content, and no one wanted it. And I'll tell you why no one wanted it. Because gaming content is about video games. It's not about whatever the fuck you want to talk about. If I were to pivot my YouTube channel to gaming content, it wouldn't help me. Yes, working class reptiles, gaming is way oversaturated. And this is what brings us back to the whole plagiarism thing. So the reason that they started doing all this plagiarism shit is because all of these niche content markets, when I say niche, I mean like your particular genre of video. Are you a Minecraft YouTuber? Are you a gaming YouTuber? Are you a leftist YouTuber? Are you a video essayist? Blah, blah, blah. All of these markets are becoming oversaturated because it's becoming too easy to make content. All content is built on the back of other content. All content that came before goes into what you are doing. The creativity of something is actually editing. It's deciding what doesn't go into it, not what does. The plagiarism shit is about reducing that oversaturation. That's the war these guys have been on the last couple of years. That's why they hate AI, because AI enables people who would have otherwise simply been consumers to be creators. And that isn't to say that you can press a button and take an output from AI and upload it, and it's just good. It's not, but it's been about that. And this is why a couple of years ago, all of a sudden, plagiarism became a really important thing. I think they all saw this coming. And the big names are safe. The H-Bomber guys, I'm sure he has a nest egg tucked away. H-Bomber guy's YouTube channel is large. He could probably make money. He could probably make a living off of the AdSense alone, which is, it's not something most people can do. And he has a Patreon that is very likely tens of thousands of dollars a month. He's not in trouble. However, he also knows that he relies on an ecosystem of content. People like this guy, are part of that ecosystem. They keep the wheels moving. And to start a plagiarism concern is to attempt to make room for people like this to continue doing what they do. But therein lies the problem. He doesn't want to keep doing it. So anyway, he raised $155,000 on a GoFundMe in response to that video. So I'm not one of these people who thinks that you need to publish your income. And if I were him, I would not have. Because he is making $6,886 a month to make content, video essays about game, art, politics, and culture, that he's immediately not doing. Ian Beldanskin, status update. I am on sabbatical for the summer. I will be doing a project of some sort with a friend in September. By the time that's done, I will have decided whether I'm still a YouTuber. In the meantime, I may make things, but making video essays is not officially my job. First off, are you making video essays? Are 4-minute videos that are literally PowerPoints, are they video essays? I want to know. I'm actually, let's run a poll. Because it's not. Making a 6-minute PowerPoint is not making a video essay. I'm sorry, it's not. Is the length the criteria? No, it's the type of content. It's a different type of content. Making a PowerPoint is not making a video essay. If it was a 30-minute PowerPoint, it's not a video essay. It's a presentation. A presentation and an essay are different things. If you were to make a PowerPoint when you were supposed to make an essay in a class, you would not get a grade at all for making an essay because you didn't. I'm only saying 6 minutes because I am being derisive towards Ian. Like, that's what the 6-minute part is. The PowerPoint is really the part that I'm talking. That's really the distinction here. I'm saying 6 minutes because fuck him. I do agree we do need less gender analysis of Lord of the Rings 8 hours. But I would argue we need less gender analysis of Lord of the Rings 5 minutes. I don't think we need any of that. They're all gay. The hobbits, they're all gay. The wizard, he's gay. The swordsman, he's gay. The dwarf, very gay. The ladies, they're all gay. Gender analysis completed. Anyway, he has no idea what that September project's going to be. All we've done is agreed to make something. I don't know if it's an album or a painting or a web app or a home movie of us singing Welcome to the Black Parade at karaoke. Clear your mind of expectations. Whew. What a statement after you collect $155,000 and up your Patreon to $6,887. Was it? It doesn't matter how many singular dollar bills are involved in there. It's $6,880. You've been asking for this money. You get it. You get it because people know you as a content creator. You get it with the idea that being a YouTuber is why you don't have the money. And so the logic follows. In order to remain a YouTuber, one would need money. Otherwise, one might go get a job for money. All of the logic here says if you are going to raise money because you are a YouTuber who doesn't have any money, the idea is that you would be a YouTuber. Is Ian still a YouTuber? Will be answered sometime in October. It's June, early June. So July 1st, that's $7,000. August, that's $7,000. September, that's $7,000. And then October 1st, when the Patreon charges come in, that's another $7,000. So that's 4 times 7, which is $28,000 from now, we will find out if Ian is still a YouTuber. And these people call me a grifter. These people have for years said that I have been attempting to appease the right for money. Shall we look at my Patreon, which is less than $300? Shall we look at my AdSense, which is less than $100? Even when I was making multiple videos a week, I was making a couple $100s a month off of YouTube. And do you know what? I don't do YouTube for that reason. I don't say what I say because I want money. I don't make stuff to get paid for it. I have a fucking job. I have multiple jobs. I have gigs, actually. I am a gig worker, okay? And I make money. I'm a gig worker, and I am also an investor. I invest money. Small amounts of it, sure. But when it returns small amounts back, I make money. I agree. Everybody should money. You should give me money. I will say that. Yes, I would like to get paid to make content, and I will make more of it if you pay me. Well, and also, let me go ahead and say this. I'm not asking you to pay my taxes, let alone pay 10 years of them. Are you fucking nuts? $155,000. Like, I think that it is important that people understand that this is time. This does take time. It does take effort. And that stuff should be paid for. I think that it makes sense to ask for money to make content. I don't think that's wrong. I think it's wrong to make no content and ask for $150,000. I have never had in my life, and I'm doing, might I add, at this point in my life, I would say that I'm doing pretty decently. I work my ass off to do pretty decently, but I do pretty decently. I have never had even approaching $150,000 at one time. Even approaching, even close. I have not had 6 figures in my bank account. That's never happened. The highest my Patreon was at was $4,200. It will never see that again. Because I do not make content that is intended to satisfy people. I make critical content. I say what I think. And it's the very opposite of a grift. What Ian has done here is a grift. This is a grift. If he didn't want to make content anymore and he was in debt like this, the thing to do is to get a job. Get a fucking job. Drive a fucking Uber. Start a small business. I don't give a shit. You have a name. You can use it. This is not what you should be doing. This is dishonest. It's utilizing people who you can neg. And that's exactly what he did. This is negging emotional debt into people. And let me say this. If this was all they were doing, would I be talking about it? Probably not. I probably wouldn't give a shit about this. I don't pay attention to these people. But these people have spent years and years attempting to make it so that I can't make money and calling me a grifter. Am I in dire straits? Absolutely not. Should I be paid for work that I put in? Yes. I will continue to put in work, and if you like it, please pay me. The goal on his was, I think, $87,000. That was where he set the goal of his GoFundMe. I will never ask you for $87,000 to do nothing. That's fucking crazy. I'm going to take a 3-month break, and maybe I'll be a YouTuber. Do you know what that is? By the way, do you know what that is? Show me how much you want me back. Maybe if that Patreon is, I don't know, $12K a month, maybe I'll definitely be a YouTuber in October. Show me how much you want me back. Fucking asshole. There are other reasons this bothers me. I ostensibly want the same thing they want. And as they say they want to move to a higher stage of production, i.e. socialism, they do shit like this. They criticize capitalism and they do shit like this. Give me money to do nothing. I do not look at doing nothing as a desirable, positive, or rewardable outcome. And this kind of shit reinforces repeatedly to people who don't know better that people on the left or socialists or whatever, anti-capitalists, the thing that they want is to be lazy and not have to do anything. And that's life. This reinforces that to a layperson who is looking on. That bothers me because although I don't believe that there is some perfect set of words that you can tell to somebody that will get them to understand what is wrong with capitalism, that we should move to a different type of appropriation, I don't believe that setting up hurdles for them to get over rather than helping them get over the existing hurdles, I don't believe that's smart. And while I don't want him to go broke or bankrupt or anything like that, I think that he should have just got a job if he was going to maybe not be a YouTuber. And let's be serious, he's going to be a YouTuber. He's going to be, as was said earlier, a YouTuber in name only, in which he makes enough videos to qualify. And it's a prompt to say, prove to me you want me back. He's going to come back no matter what. But he's saying, I don't know. What could change, though? He could go from 6,000 to 12,000 on his Patreon. Maybe that would persuade him. Maybe if we gave him more money, it would persuade him to make more content. Never mind that he's not giving us content for this money that we've already gave him and will continue to give him until October. And they call me a grifter. They have called me a grifter for years and years and years and years. And you know what? And I don't fucking care at this point. I am happy to say to everybody out there, I would like you to give me money for making content. And I think Ian deserves money for work. I think what he's done is absconded with, by October, somewhere in the neighborhood of $190,000 and not done any work. I don't think that works in terms of advocacy against the current hierarchy or structures or whatever you want to say. I think that if you put out there that you like getting money for doing shit, for doing nothing, the representation that is ever so important, because representation matters, the representation you're putting out there is, I like doing nothing. I don't want to move to a higher stage of production because I like doing nothing. I want to move to a higher stage of production because I want less things in the way of me doing something. That's why this kind of shit pisses me off. That, and they have called me a grifter for years, and yet they just load this guy's fucking asshole up with money. Hypocrisy! They call you a grifter and accuse others of plagiarism, but repeat your positions 5 years later after making fun of them without acknowledging. Exactly. That is exactly what they fucking do. I will say this. In recent times, so here's my analytics. The Gen Z folks started liking me. They bookmark me way more than the millennials do. But in terms of likes, they're now liking me more than the millennials. I think younger people think that I'm hotter than people who are the same age as me, though. I think that's what this proves, okay? Because bookmarking, you do that's the jack-off one, okay? You bookmark the jack-off stuff and you like the non-jack-off stuff. No, Gen Z definitely doesn't have the baggage. In fact, so this was something that somebody proposed to me in my Discord. They said to me, the Gen Z people are coming into this without the magical view of the left or breadtube or the right for that matter, because there are a lot of people that hate me on the right as well. They don't have this magical view. They're fallible. These people are fallible. And this isn't just now, it's over the last several years. They've seen me attacked for things that they have found they agree with. So I'm the one scoring the points, even though there might be silent points that I'm scoring, so to speak. I don't really buy into the Gen Z is conservative thing. I think it's scare tactic. I agree. I don't think that Gen Z is conservative. I don't think they're, if anything, I think they are not conservative. I think they're not leftist or liberal. I don't think left, right. Red Frog, that is exactly what I'm saying. And I think very much so that Gen Z is showing that to be true. And I have a feeling that's also why they're looking at the shit that I'm saying and they're liking it at a higher rate than the millennials are now. But I think that these younger folks are seeing, no, actually, you're actually looking at the thing that's happening and talking about it. I think politically speaking, everybody is becoming very non-binary. I think that people are existing somewhere in between on the political spectrum. The re-election of Donald Trump is 100%, in my opinion, evidence of the political binary just being over, because it's not vehement conservatives that got that man elected the second time. It's not white supremacists that got him elected the second time. It's people that work at McDonald's. And all of those left-wing people were even days before the election were commenting on my video about Trump at McDonald's saying, this aged like milk, he's going to lose. And it's no, you live in a fucking dream world. He's the only one that gestured towards the working class. Now, does that mean that he's done anything for the working class? No. But somebody put this in the Discord, which, by the way, you should all join the Discord if you're not in it. It's petercoffin.com/Discord. Somebody in the Discord said, it's lip service and nothing versus no lip service and nothing. Yes, of course people voted for Donald Trump. The lip service, while it didn't materially amount to them getting health care or something, it was lip service against no lip service. That's what it is. And I'm not saying that makes Trump good. I am saying it means that he was talking about things that people care about. It's gotten to the point where it's irritating to engage with binary politics in any way, shape, or form. And I completely get people opting out. Yes, I know Essence of Thought did it. Essence of Thought, I don't care as much because Essence of Thought is making content. I mean, I have lots of problems with Essence of Thought. Her response to Vangelina Scove way back, claiming that Vangelina Scove stole her content. I think that's so stupid. She sent a cease and desist to Vangelina Scove, who's a commentary YouTuber, who was talking about Lily Orchard, that whole thing, which Essence of Thought was, I believe, originally who kind of took Lily Orchard down, and she was mad that Vangelina Scove made a video about it and used the things, which are just, you can't copyright screenshots of stuff. And even if you could, that's bullshit. If you are a left-wing channel and you claim to dislike capitalism and you claim to want to move on to a socialist arrangement of property and stuff, you should probably not really love intellectual property and enforcing it. And I get to some extent the idea, we live in capitalism, we don't live in socialism, we don't live in communism. And so these dynamics are still at play. So should you take advantage of them? And I would argue that exists for sponsorships, and it exists for merchandise, and it exists for a lot of these other things. But I don't agree with like kind of weaponizing the main thing that designates capitalism versus communism. Because property, to be clear, property is the linchpin which enables the appropriation of completed or objectified labor. I just think that is something that, as somebody who is advocating for moving on to a higher stage of production, I think that you really can't weaponize property, especially against like other people. Just to be clear, I will say this. There's a big difference if a corporation starts trying to rip off an individual like Essence of Thought. I would immediately be in any content creator's corner who is suing a large corporation or using intellectual property to fight the hot bourgeoisie instead of some other small-time petite that's on their same level or lower. Thank you. Yeah, everybody liked the stream. Thank you, Just Some Beach. Everybody liked the stream because that's who those laws are designed to protect. If you are attacking them with their own laws, I'll support that. I will absolutely support that. But I won't support it if you are weaponizing it against one of your peers or somebody who is on a lower level than yourself. I think that there is, if you want to advocate for a higher stage of production, whether you call it socialism or you call it something else, I just do not believe that you can take that track. It just doesn't come off well. It comes off really bad. You come off like a huge hypocrite, whether you are or aren't. Even if you're using the whole, we do live in capitalism and we do have to engage with capitalism's dynamics thing, I just think that's one of the core conceits that we're advocating against. And it's really, really hard, in my opinion, to advocate for that and not come off like a shithead. I've never seen anybody not come off like a shithead personally. The laws are not here to protect the little guy. A lot of leftists have this very strange conception that somehow copyright laws are here to protect the little guy, and they're just not. They're absolutely not. Hey guys, it's later in the day, and I found out that after bringing in $155,000, Ian is going to Japan. There's a Harmful Opinions video I saw where he paid for Ian's Patreon, and in a paywalled post, he goes into much more detail than he did on that Blue Sky thread we covered. Not only is he not working for several months, which, by the way, the reason why he's saying that is for tax liability purposes. He wants to make sure this GoFundMe income, publicly speaking, is a gift. We'll see exactly how well that works out. I don't think he's hired a tax lawyer, which he should have done immediately. But no, after paying off a couple of family members, which I'm sure is not the majority of the debts he's accrued, he has put his efforts towards booking a trip to Japan. Like, I'm sorry, there's no situation where it doesn't cost multiple thousands of dollars to go to Japan. And it doesn't matter to me what Ian's doing in Japan. He raised $155,000 as well as an additional $7,000 a month on Patreon until October, when he says he'll decide if he's going to continue being a YouTuber. Which, by the way, once again means prove to me I should be a YouTuber. You should be bringing up my Patreon from $6,880 to more, before I make my decision in October. I don't think you need this Japan trip in order to know what's wrong with making a video about how being a YouTuber bankrupted you and you need money, and then taking in a shitload of money and saying, I don't know if I'm going to continue my channel. I am going to take this money and sit on it, though. I think that's already a problem. But then you throw in a trip to Japan, which I'm sure we would all love to do, but can't. Because not everybody has the money to just go to Japan. And they certainly don't have the time to just go to Japan. They have obligations, things in their lives. The hubris. I mean, you're just like sucking your audience dry of money. That's really what you're doing here. And to just cap this off, I am not saying that you shouldn't be doing things to make money off of your content. You should make money for labor. I also will reiterate this. Sponsorships, disclosed ones, disclosed sponsorships, and, merchandise, other stuff that sometimes people get criticized for doing on YouTube. It's not wrong. Even this wouldn't be wrong, in my opinion, the GoFundMe thing, if he had done it through Patreon on the promise that he was going to make more videos. But instead, he did a bunch of things based on implications.
Because of the implication.
Okay.
Being a YouTuber bankrupted me. So the reason he doesn't have the money is being a YouTuber. And all of these people know him for being a YouTuber and want him to continue being a YouTuber. So the implication is if I give him money, he'll be able to continue being a YouTuber. Except he takes all of that money and fucks off until at least October. If this was a straightforward thing, in particular, if it was a Patreon campaign where he was like, we need to get this Patreon up to 15K, 20K. I don't really care what the number is. These people are more than capable of meeting that. If it was that and the promise for I'm going to do the thing that you give me money to do already, I don't see the problem. However, that's just not the situation. So, that's all I've got to say about it. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.